Hi everyone, so here we are in another episode of the special holidays on the Jewish calendar and special days. Last we put some videos about high holidays, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur and Sukkot. We're now just about to start celebrating a feast called Chanukah, the Festival of Lights. This year it begins on December 10. It's always on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev. And different from the high holidays, which are biblical holidays, this holiday is not from the Bible. It's actually a historical holiday. It's based on an event that happened to the Jews in the 2nd century BC. 139 BC, to be exact, is the day where the Jews rededicated the Jewish temple. And the word Chanukah means dedication. So this is after the Jews won over the Greeks and started the temple again, and so they celebrated this feast, and we celebrate this festival of lights until today. But in order to understand that, you need to understand the historical background. So 2nd century BC, the whole area is under the Greeks, the Hellenistic, and there's a group of Hellenistic called Syrian Greeks, and one of those kings called Antiochus Epiphanes. Actually, his name was Antiochus the Good, although people at the time used to call him Antiochus Epimanes, which means the madman. He was a little brutal and a little tough, like most of those rulers, and he decided that everybody under his kingdom, Jews included, should be more towards the Hellenistic lifestyle. And he started putting limitations on the Jewish lifestyle. No circumcision and no temple, taking money away from the temple treasures, and so on and so on. And the story says that his men would go from village to village, set an altar, and call people to come and worship, idol worship, not for God. And when they arrived to a small village called Modi'in, which is just outside the hills of Jerusalem, they brought people and said, come and sacrifice here to a foreign god, not your God. And one of the old priests who lived there, his name was Matityahu, stood up and said, me and my children and my whole family and all my people are never going to submit to that. We're always going to be loyal to the covenant that God made with our ancestors. And so Matityahu basically killed those Syrian Greeks, and that's how officially the revolt against the Hellenistic, the Greeks, began. And a huge army of the Hellenistic came to attack. The Jews attacked using this family, later known as the Maccabees. Matityahu was the father. He had sons. One of the most famous sons was Judah Maccabee. And this revolt led by Judah Maccabee eventually won over the Greeks, to make a long story short. And they came back to Jerusalem to rededicate the temple that was looted, and everything from there was taken by the Greeks. And so they wanted to start by renewing this tradition of lighting the menorah, which was supposed to be lit every day. They found only one small jar of oil that was supposed to be enough for the first day, but miraculously there was a miracle, and that little jar lasted for 8 days until they were able to reproduce oil. And ever since then we celebrate this feast of Chanukah, the dedication, where we light candles for 8 nights in memory of that event. So Chanukah is a family holiday. It's about family being together. It's about lighting candles. It's about eating a lot. Of course, there's no Jewish holiday without eating. By the way, I always used to say that to people I guide. There's 3 sentences that define most Jewish holidays, and they define it very well. It always goes like this: they were trying to kill us, we won, let's eat. And Chanukah is a great example of that. Greeks were trying to kill us, we won, that's why we eat donuts. We eat sufganiot. It's actually jelly donuts, fried or baked, filled with jam inside. We eat all sorts of donuts. We eat everything that has to do with oil, because Chanukah is the holiday of oil. Not very healthy, not very dietetic, but it's all about oil, fried food, and lots of food. And so there's few traditions in Chanukah, which you can read about in the article that goes with this video, with this blog. But the most important thing is to light the candles. And the whole idea about lighting the candles is a public miracle, to make the miracle public. You light the candles, you put it next to a doorway or a window so everybody would see it. You light the candles, the whole family together. First night, 1 candle, using the attendant to light the candle. Second night, 2 candles, 3 candles, all the way up to 8 candles. There's a common mistake, usually in the States, where the Chanukiah is called a menorah, But a menorah from the Bible has 7 candles. Chanukah always have 9 candles. It's 8 candles plus the shamash, the attendant that we use to light the candles. And there's rules about that, and you can read about them as well in the article attached to this blog. And so you light the candles, and after that you sing Chanukah songs, and you eat sufganiyot, and you sit together. Kids would play with dreidels. You can see a little bit about dreidels down below. There's some tradition that kids will get some gifts and some money. I think that's a tradition just because Chanukah usually arrives around December time, around Christmas time, and since the Jewish kids would never get gifts, so they would get it in Chanukah instead of Christmas. So it's really interesting to see how all those things kind of combine together. Where you go to cities that are mixed, for example, Haifa up in the north, you might see Christmas trees with Chanukah candles, and sometimes Christmas and Chanukah are on the same dates. Not this year though, because Chanukah, as I said, begins on December 10. And so I just wanted to have a little bit of an understanding about this event, this Festival of Lights. Historical holiday celebrated over the victory of Jews, the Maccabees, the Hashmonean family, on the Greeks and the rededication of the temple. And ever since then, from 139 BC, year after year, we remember that event by lighting candles and going through this whole procedure of reminding us of the independence that was achieved by the Maccabees. Those Maccabees were the rulers pretty much until the time that Herod the Great, or the Romans arrived here, and Herod the Great became king of Judah. So there were nearly 300 years, a little less than 300 years of ruling of the Hashmoneans, of the Maccabees, and they were independent. They managed to defeat the Greek army and managed to gain their independence, and this is an event that we keep remembering until today. So happy Chanukah, everybody. Read the articles, go to the recipe about how you make sufganiyot, donuts. Hopefully they will turn out right. Enjoy them, light the candles if you wish. I want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy Chanukah, and of course Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to come. And hopefully we'll see each other very, very soon here in Israel. It's kind of sad because Chanukah is time where you go outside and there's tours that go into neighborhoods to see candles lit and so on. Guess we're about to go into some sort of a temporary lockdown for Chanukah, so it won't be possible to go outside. But hopefully by next year things will get back to normal. Good news, by the way, first vaccines just arrived today, this morning, to Israel. Very small, but still they arrived, and that's a light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully we'll see each other very, very soon. Happy holidays, happy Chanukah. Love you, everybody. Stay tuned. Come visit our beautiful Israel and watch more episodes about Israel that we keep putting all the time. We also opened a store, an online store called Beautiful Israel Store. I'm sure some of you got the emails and the posts. So visit the store. We keep adding lots and lots. We have many collections. We keep adding new collections pretty much every couple of days. And I hope to see some of you there as well. Thank you very much. And we'll be here again in another episode of Beautiful Israel and of special days and holidays.